Welcome back. Yet another election where many of the published polls were a long way off the final result. And the Liberal Party wipeout across urban Australia. How on earth do they claw this back? Expert pollster, RedBridge director Samaras joins me now. Well, you guys weren't so far off the ultimate decision, but plenty of other pollsters were way off the mark, Cos, particularly when it came to those final numbers on Saturday night. Why was this the case?
I think it's really misreading that other vote, and I think it could get close to 6 million people went for the other major parties or thereabouts by the time everything is counted. And if you don't actually read that part of Australia correctly when you are surveying, you're going to misread the two-party preferred.
What about the story today that the Liberal Party pollster had predicated or put into their preference flows the underlying numbers coming out of the Voice referendum? I just thought that was crackers, but you're the professional. What did you think?
Yeah, I wouldn't have used that to weight the numbers. Absolutely not. The referendum is one thing. Voting for the next government of Australia is a totally different matter, and people have a totally different emotional response to it.
So what happened in the end, do you think, that the biggest reason for these sorts of numbers we saw was that that big soft vote sat there into the last minute and broke almost overwhelmingly to Labor? Was that it?
Yeah, so in our key seats track, we did a bit of an analysis to work out who did the coalition lose over a period of 8 weeks. And they were largely people in their 40s and 50s who were renting and had a mortgage in the outer suburbs and regions of this country. And then we did a bit of a further analysis and tried to work out where they're preferencing. And we found out pretty early on they were going to Labor. So that bleed was pretty horrific for the coalition. So I think that actually was the death nail for the coalition in a lot of seats, that hemorrhaging over a period of 8 weeks, and then the preference is going to Labor.
I went through this at the top of the show, but I mean, if you look at Labor's primary vote vis-a-vis where they were, say, even when Shorten lost in 2016, it's about the same, right? That's right. A dramatic deterioration, even if the seat count is obviously vastly improved. And then you've got the turnout. I mean, from World War I until the 2022 election, we've never dropped below 90% of turnout. We look like we're at 77% or thereabout at this election. So growing disengagement from voters. Yes. I mean, these are deep issues, deep structural issues with the two major parties. I think the only bright light out of the weekend was it looks like we might be past peak green, if that's possible.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, look, the major party vote combined is still obviously heading in one direction. That's called South. And that other vote is now the king and queen maker of future parliaments. And whoever wins them over in future elections will be forming government. And that's, I think, not a silver bullet for none of the two major parties have got a silver bullet for that. Labor was lucky this time. Next time it could be a little bit more tricky.
Chris Uhlmann makes a point, though. Labor fighting the Greens at least had an assured preference flow that came back about 80% of the time. The creation of the Teals under the guise of being sort of just better heeled and more environmentally friendly Liberals, well, that's a furphy. They're there to take votes off the Liberals and they funnel them back to the left of politics. So their only purpose of being is to destroy the Liberal Party, basically, and ensure they never form majority government again. I mean, how do you tackle something like that?
It's hard, right? I mean, it took the Labor Party, two decades to recover from the DLP split. And so Chris's reference about the DLP is an excellent analogy because it's exactly what I think he's facing the coalition right now. To regain these electorates will take a long time because there are some demographic mountains they need to climb. It's not impossible. We can see that in Goldstein that Tim Wilson's about to get elected there. So, but it's a long, long road ahead, and overcoming that and having to balance that. So, you're a student of political history. You know how where those seats were lost for Labor when the DLP split. They were particularly geographically located within particular constituencies that Labor really heavily relied upon. And so this is the same problem now for the coalition.
And of course, what you might gain by, bending over in relation to some of these inner city seats you will lose out there in the peri-urban outer suburbs. That's the challenge that wasn't there with the DLP. Thank you, Cos.